Good afternoon. We are live on Facebook. Hello. I haven't seen you for ages. It's been, I don't know how long. I'm so sorry. I am here. I've just been busy with other stuff. So it's so nice to be back and with you. And how are you? I'm happy. I'm happy today. I'm in my sewing room. It's raining outside, chucking it down. After all that hot weather, I know we shouldn't, we talk about the weather, don't we? But I do like it when it's raining after that hot heat. So yeah, let me know what you think of the weather and how hot it's been with you. Obviously we're here in Melton Mowbray, and in my studio I've got a Velux window just there, so I can see it raining and it's lovely. So yeah, nice to have you with me, or if you're watching us on catch up. What I did forget to do was to advertise that I was going live today. What I did, if you subscribe to the newsletter, so if you go onto my Debbie Harris Designs website, you can subscribe on the newsletter, to the newsletter on the website, and then every month you'll get the newsletter from me, and on there you'll get offers and codes and things, discounts. So I advertised it on there that I was going to do the lives every Tuesday at 2, and hadn't thought then to put it onto Facebook and Instagram. By the way, Dave is cameraman today. Wave, Dave. Oh, Dave's waving. He's giving it a wobble. And Dave said, oh, have you advertised it? I was like, oh no, only to my subscribers. So hopefully you'll have a chance to either join in live this afternoon or pick it up later on in the evening when you're doing whatever, chilling out. So what we're going to do today is, I've got lots of Christmas stuff in. So we're going to do this lovely Christmas Advent calendar panel. So it's a Makower panel. All the fabric that I have is Makower. Do we need another light on, David? Do you want to try putting that big light on? See if that helps. It is a bit dark, isn't it, today? That's the thing. So yeah, we're going to do the panel. All the fabric I have is Makower. These panels come as they are. So they're already pre-cut, and they're absolutely brilliant because they've got at the top the instructions, which look like, I've cut them off because you don't keep them on there. So you don't have to zoom in, Dave. It's okay, I think. I'm not going to show detail, but that's what they look like across the top of your panel. So there's no pattern. I don't send you a pattern. It's just a Makower panel. And then it comes like that. You can buy the panel on its own like this, or you can buy it as a kit and you get the red background with the white polka dots, because that's how I like to kit it up. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do, Dave, I think will just follow me around, will you? As always. Dave normally would be at work today, so as you know, the last few lives I've done, Dave has not been my cameraman. But because the weather is awful here today, Dave's not working, not in the garden. He's been working around the house, and I roped him in then to do some. Oh, hi Lane, hi, thank you for joining us. I'm trying to see your comments at the same time. So yeah, Dave, I roped him in and said, oh Dave, I'm doing a live this afternoon. Absolute coincidence that I happened to be doing a live. Dave was at home. Brilliant, got me cameraman back. So I like to use the best press to iron this out, to press it out, because the best press just helps get rid of all those creases a bit better. You can see, I don't know if you can pick up how creased it is. Fabric creases easily, doesn't it? Particularly good fabric, good quality fabric like this, because it's 100% cotton. Hello Yvonne, are you alright? Oh look, everybody's come back, it's so nice. Can you hear Hattie barking? She's downstairs. She always barks at the postman, at somebody walking past. If she can hear me, she'll bark. Very barky she is. So, but yeah, thank you for joining me. It's lovely to have you along. Oh, nice. So I've pressed that out with my best press, and you can see how lovely it is. Can you see the lovely Scandi image? Look, you've got the sleigh and the reindeers and the house. It's that Scandi theme. I've got quite a few Christmassy bits on the website, but I love the Scandi theme, just the reds and the creams and the greys. So what you can see here on the panel, it tells you where to fold the fabric, and then it tells you where to fold it to. It's really quite straightforward. I'm not even following the blooming instructions, but that's the rebel in me, isn't it? Yvonne knows the rebel in me. So I'm going to fold it, take the top fold, and I'm going to fold right on that red line. It's a thin red line. These are going to be the pockets, and when you place them like this, they're going to fold like that. Can you see? So that's where you put your chocky bar or your sweet in or whatever. So when you fold to press them, make sure you're folding the red line so it's on the inside. Do you know what I mean? So you don't really want the red line showing on the front. So I'm going to press those. Because you've used the breast press, it helps you to get that nice crisp fold. It just makes your fabric that much more structured and easier to handle. So you can see I'm just taking my time, making sure that red line, it's very thin, and you want that to be on the inside because this is going to be the inside of the pocket. Okay, so give that a good press, and then what I'm going to do, it didn't say this on the instructions, but that's what I like about these panels. You can do what you want. Haha, Yvonne, yeah, like me. I don't know what bit she means, like her. Bit rogue, I suppose. No, aren't we, Yvonne? So what I'm going to do, are you with me, Dave? Is I'm now going to top stitch along that fold. So I've just pressed the one. There's 3 folds altogether. I've just, or is there 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to top stitch along that row so that will give a nice secure edge to your pocket. So I'm going to just do a normal running straight stitch right from the edge. I'm going to move my needle position right across so it's as close to that seam as possible. So on mine, yours will be different. Yeah, rebel, Yvonne. Me, rebel. So I'm going right across, number 7 mine is, and I've extended my stitch length to 3 because this is just a top stitch, so it's decorative and it makes the pocket more structured. So off we go. And this also just helps that fabric stay folded back. So I like the top stitch when it's like this, something like this. I like it to be as close to that seam, the fold, as I can get it. There we go. So can you see, Dave? It's close, nice and close to that folded edge. And then when you see the other side, you can see that red line is on the back, because when you bring this back up, can you see that? That will then become your pocket like that. Yeah? So we're going to repeat that. I love these because they're so quick to make. But you haven't got to rush them, have you? You know, especially if you start your Christmas projects now. That's why I wanted to get the... oh, hang on, that wants to be like that folded. That's why I've got all my... Well, not all. I think I've got some more Christmas fabric coming in. But I wanted to get plenty in early so that we can get ahead. And you can get things made. Because where are we? Middle of September-ish, aren't we? So you've got October, November to get these ready. So you can have them up on the wall, or you can gift them for people so that they can be up on the walls or on the back of your doors or whatever, ready for the 1st of December, because it's not long. I actually was in a meeting the other day and counted up, I was looking at Fridays and counted up how many Fridays, so weeks, there are left to Christmas. It was 15. 15. So it's not... Well, it depends how you look at it, doesn't it? I think 15 weeks is not far away at all. So this is not like me to be so organised. Normally I'd be making this on the 30th of November. So just doing exactly the same for those other folded areas. And of course, what happens to this, because it's one long panel, one long piece, because you're folding the pockets, it obviously becomes shorter in length. If you are going to get one of these and you need to get the backing fabric for it, you'll need about a metre. I'll measure it when it's sewn, because this is the first one of these I've actually sewn, so I've not got one to measure to show you. That's why we're doing it today. And then I'll tell you, you'll probably need a metre of fabric. You won't need all of that for the backing, but you will in terms of size, so that it fits the width and the length, if you're with me. But I'll look at that with you in a sec. Oh, now you see on that one, I've just not quite folded it right, so the red line was coming to the front. So just take your time. You might like the red line at the front, but I want to not see it. I want it to be on the inside of the pocket. So off we go. What I like about these panels are there's enough for you to have to concentrate on, but it's straightforward enough for you to just do it, you know. It's not like you have to really concentrate. I like my sewing, as I've said 100 times before, you know, it's supposed to be fun, isn't it? It's relaxing, it's your hobby. You don't want to be getting well, I don't want to be getting stressed with sewing. This is my my time to relax sewing. So that's why I think these panels are brilliant, because they're all, the instructions are there, fabric is beautiful, and the pictures, look at all the pictures, they're so nice, and you can't go wrong, I don't think, can you, with, even if you're not keen on the Scandi style, you know, that sort of Swedish Norwegian style, you can't go wrong, I don't think, with reds, can you, at Christmas? It goes with everything. So that's the last one, but let's do that in exactly the same way. There we go. So you can now see how the panel comes together. So at the moment you've got your panel like this, and then you've got those seams we've just put in. So when you look at the, let me get my pins, when you look at where you've just sewn that seam in, take it to the panel and it tells you again to fold here. So I'm going to fold that pocket, and I'm doing the top one first. I think it's easy to do the top and then work down. And you're going to line that fold on the fabric exactly, and you want those red lines there, can you see, Dave, to line up, and then pop a pin in there. Okay, so just adjust the fabric as you need to, pop your pin in, and that's keeping that pocket. So you can see you're going to sew these areas in a minute, and then that's your little pocket you can put your bits and bobs in. Now hang on, let me just double check that, because that feels, yeah, hang on, that's not quite right, it's this way around. Let me show you. I was going to say that pocket doesn't feel big enough. You go into the top, the fold is the bottom fold, apologies. So that fold, you don't go to that one there, because you can, because I thought it'd be quite nice to have this back in here, but your pocket's not big enough. So actually that fold is the bottom fold of your pocket. Are you with me? And then that goes like that, because then you're getting a deeper pocket. Does that make sense? There you go. And this is why demonstrations are good, aren't they? Because, you know, you could quite easily, I mean, you can do it that way, but this is how it's meant to be. It's the folds at the bottom of the pocket. And then you pop in your pins in so that it lines up nicely. And then what we're going to do is sew those in place with a bit of top stitching that obviously will be visible, so it's decorative. So all your stitching on this, apart from when you sew the back to the front, the backing fabric, your stitching is oh, Dave's laughing at Mabel now. It's like Pet City around here today.
You want to comment?
Oh, I thought you were laughing at Mabel. Bigger chocolates. Oh, definitely. Yeah, you want to be able to get a double decker in there, don't you? I do. Not some Smarties, individual Smarties. There you go. So, there you go. And then you've got your pockets. So what I'm going to do, because obviously you can't sew across there because that's going to sew your pocket up. Now you could put your wadding on. If you look at the instructions, it will say, your finger's not there, is it, Dave? It will say the backing and the, to put the backing on now. I'm going to tack those at this point because when I've done all of them, and you'll see why, because it's going to be easy to turn it out. We're always looking, aren't we? Well, I am. You know what I'm like. I'm always looking for a little trick, a little hack, I think they call them, don't they, nowadays? Are you using red thread? Good question, Yvonne. No, I'm using white. Because obviously it's on red fabric. You could use red, obviously, to hide your stitches. But I'm using white to make it stand out. But yeah, by all means, you could use the red, because then... Oh, I've got a little needle that's threaded there, look. It would then be more invisible, wouldn't it? So it's up to you, really. I like a contrast thread. She always asks the good questions, doesn't she, Yvonne? Anyway, Yvonne, I want to know, did you finish... I'm sure you did. You've probably sent me a picture, Rosie Rabbit. It's not still dismembered, is it, from last year? Oh, we had some fun in the Rosie Rabbit class, didn't we? So yeah, shows this year. I'll just chat about that so you know where I am and what's happening. We did Islington show, which was in, oh gosh, that's way back in March now. This year's flying, isn't it? Doesn't seem that long ago, March, but that's when it was. So that was a nice show. And then we went more recently in August to the Festival of Quilts at the NEC. And I know a lot of you came there, so that was fab. I love it. I love seeing everybody at the shows. And then we are in about, I think it's 3 weeks. 3 weeks on Thursday this week. We're going to Alexandra Palace in London again. So they're all the shows that we did last year. So I'm prepping for that show at the moment. So when I'm putting some of these kits together for these advent calendars, I'm just going to repin that one because it wasn't quite... You have to make sure, you know, I think when we're pinning sometimes we can be quite quick, can't we, and flippant about it. Or just put a pin in, but your pinning's got to be correct as well. You know that already. Yes, I've been putting the kits together. She is completed. Rosie Rabbit. Yvonne's Rosie Rabbit is completed. I thought she was. I thought you'd sent me a picture last year. Yeah, I'm putting the kits together, and there's a few new patterns, new projects coming out as always. So getting ready for that show. And then we're in Harrogate, if you're coming up there, in November. So it's a kind of a busy time of year sewing wise now, which I think it's perfect because it's that rainy kind of windy cold weather coming when all you want to do is sit down in front of the TV at night with your sewing. I do anyway. What I have been doing this last couple of nights is I'm doing a bit of a secret project, not so secret now, for Sewing Street at the moment, which has been fun, and it's an embroidery, and I've loved it. You know, I do embroidery a lot with some of my patterns, you know, like the pincushions, or Rosie Rabbit even, or Millie Doll. You know, I like embroidering faces and things like that. But this one is a new embroidery design that Sewing Street have actually designed, and I've been embroidering that, and it's been so nice. It's a while since I've done just an embroidery project, and it's been really nice just to sit down. In fact, yesterday afternoon I did some. I was actually doing it in between, because you know I'm a counsellor and therapist, so yesterday in between my clients, I always leave about half an hour between my clients. So yesterday when I was at my that pin is very bent, so that's going under there. It's one of my pet hates, a bent pin. In between clients I was doing some embroidery, and it was so nice. And I think we can forget, even though we know how beneficial sewing is for our well-being, I can often forget, you know, and very often I'm sewing to a deadline or trying to get something done. So to actually sit yesterday afternoon and just do some embroidery, no, I didn't even have the music on. Just, I mean, I've not obviously got a TV in my therapy room anyway. Just sat quiet on my own, sewing away. It was beautiful. There we go. Okay, so can you see now how that's got nice and more petite, isn't it? It's nice and it's full. So all of the fabric is now behind their little pockets, and then if I turn it over you can see how it's all nicely laid out. So I'm just going to very gently, not too much, because obviously I've got all the pins in, but on the reverse side I'm just going to give that a press to press those seams down, because obviously they're on that fold line, which you can't see the fold line, but you can just, you know, eyeball that and see that they're all in nice straight lines. You can obviously measure if you want to be, I'm just going to put that there, Dave. If you want to be really precise with your measuring, you can measure them. I do most things by eye, because I think sometimes it's like when you're leveling something, isn't it? If you're hanging a picture, it can be correct, the measurement, but it doesn't look right by eye. Do you know what I mean? So I think we have to be careful with that. I tend to, if it looks right by eye, I'll go with that rather than the measurement. That makes sense. So I've just pressed that on the reverse, and there we have it. Okay, now if you follow the instructions that were on the panel, it tells you now to tack this and then put your backing on. But what I'm going to do, because I'm a rebel, as Yvonne has just said, or me and Yvonne were saying, I'm going to actually top stitch these pockets in place, and then that'll just become a finished piece. Then I'm going to back it. Okay, so I'm going to take my pin out here, and I'm going to stitch and put lower my foot, and I want the stitch still a straight stitch. You could do a zigzag, and I'm going to move my needle now right over to the left, still at a 3, so that it's fairly close to that edge of that pocket. And then I'm going to start sewing. I'm going to back stitch there to secure the stitch, and I'm just going to take it steady. Not only do I want it to be a straight line, of course, but I'm taking it steady because I'm continuing to sew down that vertical, and I'm going to take my pin out as I go and sew, so my foot is along the side of this pocket, and I'm sewing that backing fabric, which makes it into a pocket, to the front at the same time. Okay, so just take it nice and steady. There's never any rush when you're sewing. It's all about taking your time. And I'm going to run that stitch right off the edge, because I want it to just run off, so that when I put it together it just goes to the edge. Okay, and because it's in that white thread, can you see Yvonne mentioned earlier about, you know, what colour's the thread? I want it to stand out. Oh, the pin head has come off that pin. I'm having a bad pin day today. And now I'm going to set my needle to the centre position, which on mine's 3.5, because I want that stitch line to be right central between those two pockets. Okay, so start your stitching, back stitch a couple of times to secure it at the top, and then just a straight line down. taking your pins out as you go. You're securing those pockets in place. And the last one, and then again run the stitch right off the design so that it will go into the seam allowance. So when you're putting your wadding and your backing fabric on, it will, and you do the top stitch, do the seam around the edge to make that, bag it out, it just goes into the seam allowance. Okay. Of course, you could go really mad, couldn't you, decorating this with, I mean, I'll probably do that. You could do some embroidery on it. You could do some free motion embroidery on it before you actually sewed it together. I'm going to put some buttons on it. You could really go nice and quite decorative, couldn't you, with your decorations and your embellishments. I'm going to put some buttons on later, and I'll put a picture on of the finished one later. Yeah, you could do whatever you wanted. I think some nice wooden buttons would look nice, wouldn't it, with that Scandi style, because it lends itself to that natural nature, doesn't it, and the wood just looks really nice. Oh, it's lovely, this. It's nice just to have an afternoon sewing with you. Like I say, it just seems to have been busy lately with, you know, planning and sort of background work for the shows and things like that, rather than, you know, not always an awful lot of sewing. And but I think that's definitely the weather's got a big factor on that for me. When it's summer, it's not always conducive, is it, to sitting with big quilts on your knees and crocheting and things. There we go. Oh, good idea, them little gold bells. Yes, I've got some good bells actually, Yvonne. I ordered some bells the other day, so they would be lovely on it, wouldn't they, to embellish it with? Yeah. And then if you had it on the back of the door, or the front of the door, whichever, then when you close the door it would jingle as well, wouldn't it? So that'd be nice. So yeah, I love decorating things, especially for Christmas. I'm actually really excited about all these Christmas projects this year. Like I say, I can sometimes be a bit, it's Christmas is ages away, but this year I was like, nope, get these Christmas projects in. I think I've got 3 or 4 different advent calendars like this on the website. There's a Christmas stocking panel, that's nice. So the whole of September, the lives for September on a Tuesday afternoon like this, I've just dedicated to Christmas. So there's some advent calendars, Christmas stockings, and then I've got in the pipeline some Christmas EPP projects as well. So there we go. There we are. Where's my? And now I knew I was going to have a problem with my scissors today because I took them with me yesterday. I'm moving, Dave. Whoop. Hang on. I took my scissors yesterday to my therapy room while I was using my big ones, while I was sewing that embroidery yesterday afternoon. So clip off your threads at the top, so that I like to clip my threads as I'm going along. Just clip off those at the edge. I don't like doing them all at the end. Do it as you go along. Have I got a question? Comment, sorry. I must not have been looking properly in the shop as I could not see this or the other Christmas shop. Oh, sorry, Yvonne. So if you go onto the website and go to shop, in fact, Dave, if I do this, you can video this, can't you? Where's the shop? So if you go to Debbie Harris Designs, go to shop along the top here. And then that takes you down to either all your essentials or patterns and kits. and this is in all your essentials because it's essentially fabric. It's not my kit or pattern. So click on that fabric picture there, and then if you go down you'll see all the different fabrics we've got. It's there, look, fabric, Makower Scandi Advent Calendar Panel. That's just the number, because sometimes people look for these things by number. So then you click on select options. It does look different, Yvonne, that's perhaps why you didn't recognise it. It looks a bit different on that picture, doesn't it? Click on select options, and then there's the full picture of it, and then you can either select the panel on its own, so that's just the panel which we're working on now, or you can click on the kit, and that also, I've not put a picture of that, but it also brings up the red the kit, and that includes, it tells you on the description.
She's got it.
I know, I'm just explaining though to other people.
Yeah, sorry. She looked in kit, she said.
Oh yeah, it does make sense to do that. Then with the kit is a red and the spotty background. Yeah, it does make sense, Yvonne, that you'd look in kits. On the website where it's got patterns and kits, they're my, you know, the ones I design, where this is. Now that's just gone slightly off there. It's gone a bit off, and I don't know why that's happened. It's probably because I'm not paying attention, isn't it? My pockets, although I've lined them all up nicely, they're a little bit out, but you won't notice it when it's up on the wall. So press that out, and that then is done. Yeah, so you've got all your pockets. Can you see mine are a little bit out? Don't look too close, Dave. Don't look too close. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to walk again over to my table, and then I'll show you how I'm going to back it and put the wadding in. I might need Dave's assistance in a minute. So here's my backing fabric that I've got ready. Are we all right? Dave's got cramp now in his fingers. So I'm going to lay this out and show you the size of it. So we've got, that is 24 inches by 22.5. So what that means is, because a metre, you'll need half a metre of fabric would do it, but it won't be wide enough. So I'm going to cut my fabric different today, but if you want the kit, I'll send you obviously enough to fit that you'll need, and but you'll need to order a metre if you're ordering it separately. But obviously don't order it separately if you're ordering this from me today. Order the kit, because you get it loads cheaper, so it's always better for you to buy the kit. So I'm just going to go here, Dave, sorry. We don't normally do up on the desk kind of demos, do we? Before, I don't think we've come over here. I'm just conscious of this cable for the mic, but hey, Dave will sort it out. Dave's here. What could possibly go wrong with Dave here today? What a bonus. I knew that was going to be tight. I desperately need a new blade in my rotary cutter. So move that out of the way. Obviously if you order the kit, yours will come all ready and you won't have to worry too much about cutting the background, because it will all be done. The backing fabric.
Oh, Yvonne says you're doing a good job, Dave.
Oh, stop it, Yvonne, because you know what will happen. He'll just be, why didn't I do a good job being cameraman today? Right, let's see how good Dave is now at reaching behind himself. Are you with me, Dave? To get me the H640, please. So I'll wave like this. It's in the corner behind you, Dave. Do you want me to grab? I'll grab the camera. Dave's getting the H640. Yeah. Here. No, that's the, no, it's the one in the corner. What did you say, Yvonne? He's very good, yeah. It is. To be fair, I should have got that out first. Apologies. Multitasking, you see. Mind your fingers. Multitasking for a man. I mean, I'm sure I'm not allowed to say that these days, but oh well, anyway. So, H640. I don't know if I've got this on the website. I took it off because we ran out. But I'll put this on. H640. So I'm just going to cut mine to the size. You'd need to order, again, you'd need to order a metre, wouldn't you? I suppose what we could have done, Dave, I'm thinking now, we could have put a kit in with the H640 as well, couldn't we? We could do that. So if you want the H640, just wait till I finish the live and I'll put a kit in with that as well, because then you're getting literally everything. The only thing you will have to do, depends on what you want to do with your advent calendar. You might want to put tabs on, you know, if you want to put a pole through it and hang it on the door, or you might want to do that. I'm not going to put any tabs on because I'm going to put Velcro, stitching Velcro on it, so I can just stick it on the wall. I'm going to put Velcro on the wall. So if you need to put tabs on, you'll just need a bit, you could use your red scrap fabric, couldn't you, for that? Or if you order a metre of the red spots, you'll have plenty. I like having the red spots in because it's like a staple. I think spots are a staple. Right, I'm moving again, Dave, I'm moving again. Here we go. So with your H640, place that with the bobbly side up. That's the glue side. Okay? Because I'm going to adhere now the front, your actual advent calendar itself, because obviously that's the same size as the red spots. I'm going to adhere the advent calendar to the H640. Just move it across a smidge, because what you don't want is to not have all of it, you know, with the wadding there. It's a bit tight. Thing with the H640, when you're laying it on, it acts a bit like Velcro, you know, so once you've put it on, if you want to shuffle it about, you have to do the whole thing. That's better. But because it's like Velcro, when you start doing this, it does smooth itself out. Okay, and then use the iron. You might need to go a little bit slower than I am, because the H640, I mean, you can use any wadding, it doesn't have to be H640. You could use a non-fusible wadding if you've got that in. I just use you know, the 505 spray to spray the wadding to the fabric, or you can just pin it. But if you're using something like H640, that's adhered now, but you do have to give it a good press, because you need to, the heat loosens the glue nodules, so that then makes it stick to the fabric. So give it a good press, especially these bits, because if you think about it, you're going through 3 layers of fabric here. So make sure it's nicely adhered. It's lovely, this. It's lovely, I think, to make, you know, not even necessarily for kids, is it? You know, if you've got family or friends to make as a gift. Because now, I think, you know, advent calendars are lovely, aren't they? But they're all these sort of, I don't know, they're very commercial, aren't they? You know, the box ones you get with chocolates in. So something like this to be handmade is lovely, really lovely as a gift, or just for yourself if you can't bear to give it away. Okay, now I'm not going to do this now, but I might afterwards. You know, we were talking about decorating it and embellishing it at the end. I might, now that's adhered, you could, and I'm going to do this later, you could do some stitching around the edge. I might do some hand stitching actually, you know, around the edge of these roofs. You could put some French knots on there to make it look like snow. You could do all sorts with that. So I will do, but I'm not going to machine stitch that. I'll do that later and I'll show you. And I'm also going to do that when it's backed as well. So now that's nice and flat. Just make sure it is flat, otherwise you'll have a bit of a bump in it. And I'm then going to take my red backing fabric, make sure I get this the right way around, because it's fairly square, isn't it? So make sure it's big enough. I might have that the wrong way. Oh, have I cut it big enough? It's very tight, because what you want is for that to obviously cover all the edge. It's very tight actually how I've cut that. But we've got this, we can do this. Because I'm going to go around the red. Out of light, I'm going to go over to the table, Dave, come with me. Because I can't, it's not big enough there for me to manoeuvre. What I want is to make sure, and I might have to recut that fabric, because I'll show you what I'm talking about. So on the panel, you've got this white edge. You've got the red, it's about 1 centimetre wide. Then you've got the cream. Now I'm going to stitch around that red edge. If you want to go to the cream edge, then that's up to you. So I just want to make sure before I start sewing, I'm going to pin this, that my fabric lays over that red line, which it does, but I just didn't have enough room to do that down there. Let me get my pins. Got pin cushions everywhere I have. Okay, so get that nice and flat, and if you've got more time I would press this. And this is going to be a bit tricky when you're sewing this down as a backing, because you can see the red line I'm going to go on is here, and I've not got a line obviously on my red backing fabric, so it's going to have to be a bit of fiddly bits when we're sewing it, but I'll show you how. Alternatively, you could measure your backing fabric to exactly 1/4 inch bigger than that red line, the size of the square, and then you've got 1/4 inch seam allowance. The problem with that is because it's fabric, it moves, it's flexible, so you're going to have to be careful when you're, you know, if you're measuring it and then making your backing fabric 1/4 inch bigger. It could be tricky, but I'll show you how I'm going to do it, and that's probably the easiest way, just a little bit slower. Now you're going to leave, because this is, we're going to back this out, you're going to sew around the edge, and they're going to leave a turning gap at the bottom to then turn it out, and then you can bag it out. So I'm leaving my turning gap. I always put my pins the opposite direction so I know that that's where I'm going to have my turning gap. Okay, and then I'm under the machine, Dave. I mean, not literally. I'm sure he wants to put me under the machine some days. Right, I'm going to take my stitch length back to 2.6, and here we go. So this is what I was saying about being careful now. So I'm going, I don't know if you might be better that side, Dave, so you can see the line. Depends where you're going to sew this and what your decision is. So you've got your little pockets, and you've got the red pocket goes down to the bottom there, and then you've got about, I don't know, 1/2 inch seam allowance there. I don't want any cream on my edge at all. I just want to go to the red line. So I'm going to fold that down. I've eyeballed that, if you like. Put my foot down, and then I'm going to mark it with my finger and just sew a straight line. But you are sort of sewing a little bit blind, but you'll be absolutely fine. Sew to the corner, lift your foot and pivot your fabric, and then in the same vein, once you've got your line, your straight line in your machine, you'll be fine. Foot down. Take your time because you are going through some layers. You want, I've got mine down now, if you've got a walking foot on your machine, I would definitely use it now, because you're going through a lot of layers and you're going through that H640. So with your walking foot on, it'll just go through your machine that bit smoother. Okay. And then right to the top. So you can see once you've got your straight line, and then just check that you go into the right point, which is there. Needle down, foot up, pivot, and then we're going all the way across the top, foot down. It makes it quite simple really, because you've got the spots, and if your fabric's pretty straight, the spots will keep you in line, as well as you doing it by eye and your finger holding where the red line is. Okay. Can't remember, Dave, I'm putting Dave on the spot now, how much the H640 is, can you? Half a metre? Come on, Dave, can you remember?
No.
Because I think we took it off the website because it was we'd sold out, and I've managed to get it back in stock. Is it £9, half a metre? Just thinking about the price of the kit with the H640. And don't forget, you might already know this, you might not, but at the moment, because I just keep extending this offer, anything you order online, anything at all, however much you spend, it doesn't matter, you'll get 5 free patterns. So because I've written a lot of new patterns over the last few months, I'm kind of phasing out the older ones, but I mean they're still perfectly good patterns, obviously. It's just that I want to make room for the new ones, physical room, because everything we have, we obviously have to store it and take it to the shows and things. So I'm just having a bit of a sort out. So with every order, whatever it is, whatever the value, you'll get 5 free patterns, the older ones. You don't have to put them in your basket or anything. I'll just pick 5 random patterns out for you. So don't forget that as well. So I've gone all the way around the edge, and I'm just hoping and praying that what I'm going to do, I'm not going to cut those seams. I'm not going to cut the seams at all at the moment. I'm not going to cut the seam allowance down. I'm just going to check when I bag it out that I'm happy with those seams, because I might think, oh, I need to go a bit closer there, and then I'll cut my seam allowance down. So I can see just by looking. If you just stand back, Dave, and then I'll talk about it. I can see by looking, actually, that's pretty spot on. There's just that top edge. So this edge in the towards the corner just needs a bit more. I've gone a little bit wide, so you can see a little bit of the cream. So back it back out. I'm not going to keep testing it. I'll just go in a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch on this corner, this edge, and then I'll cut the seam allowance down then, because what you want is to cut the bulk out of that seam. So when you turn it out, it's okay. What's Yvonne saying? Oh, are they machine sewing patterns or hand sewing? My vision prevents me doing hand sewing. So most of my patterns, you can do either or, Yvonne, to be honest. I mean, I suppose I write them as machine sewing, but you can hand sew. You can hand sew them. Just depends how much, you know. Most of my patterns are quite small projects. So if you're looking at, you know, the pin cushions, you can hand sew those. However, I machine sew them. All my patterns are written for machines to machine sew. But you know, all the machine does is help you, doesn't it, to make it faster. And maybe your stitches are stronger with a machine. You tend to think so, don't you? And more secure. But yeah, just machine sew. If I can machine sew, I will. And then, like I say, I quite like it. You know, I've been doing this embroidery the last couple of nights. and that satisfies my hand sewing thing, need, compulsion, addiction, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just here cutting the seam allowance down, because you're cutting the bulk out of those seams. Machine is good. I think so, Yvonne. Why wouldn't you? And then what I'm going to do, I always like to, even though this is going on the inside, I'll always press my seam, because what that does, it makes the sewing part of the fabric rather than it just being a stitch line on top of the fabric. So even though that's going to be an inside seam, I still press, and it's also giving you back in a nice big press as well. And then bag it out, turn it out, and you can see how quick that is. What's it took? An hour, and that's me chatting away as well and faffing around. So it's not a long project. You could get a couple of those done, couldn't you, in an afternoon? Easy. So pop your corners out, and then you've got, I mean, you couldn't you, make that, as I've turned that out then, be a lovely cushion, wouldn't it? Can you imagine in a kiddie's room having it as a big cushion? Obviously you wouldn't want them sitting on it and melting the fabric, the chalky, but just looks like a lovely cushion, doesn't it? You can do anything with it, can't you? But of course, traditionally, I'm looking for my pokey tool. Traditionally, you'd want it, you know, on the back of a door, wouldn't you, or the chimney breast, or somewhere like that. So I'm just poking out the corners. Let me get me, I like the stiletto heel, sometimes easier. It's quite a lot of you know, it feels like a big piece of work now, even though it went quite small when you made the pockets. So push out your corners and then lay it back out, give it a good press, give it a nice good press so you're, and can you see what I mean now? Now I've got that backing fabric on. I might even do some machine embroidery now, because that would look quite nice, just machined, I think. And then it'll quilt that, you see, as well. So you've got a nice quilted piece at the top. Obviously you can't quilt the pockets because you won't be able to get in them. But you can quilt the top. And then at that bottom, where you've left your turning gap, just fold it together. And press that seam so that your turning gap is going to close nicely, because I'm going to top stitch in a second all around the edge to give it a nice big top stitch. That's beautiful. Where did I caught this today? Would love it to be, yeah, I'll do that, Yvonne. It makes sense. It only came to me. Obviously I'd forgotten all about H640 because it was in the corner there, but yeah, makes sense. It'll be about, I think the kit with the backing and the panel was 1950, so it'll be about 2650, won't it? Something like 2750 with a H640, something like that. But I'll put it on straight away, Yvonne, when I've finished, and then I'll include your free patterns as well. So we're going to top stitch now around the edge. So I've got it right side facing. I'm going to start in the corner on that bottom seam. So I've got my turning gap here. So as you're doing the top stitch, and again I've kept the white thread in because I like to see a top stitch. Although let me just change my needle position. So I'm going to move it to 7, so it's right over this edge. Change the stitch length to 3.2. So let me just finish that off, because that is a little bit close to the pocket. Not that it matters, you can still get in the pocket, but I want the top stitch to be quite close to this right hand edge. Are you with me? That's better. And you can see when you top stitch, it flattens that edge out as well. So where I've pressed my turning gap, you can see now, just carefully hold those together, and then you're closing your turning gap at the same time as top stitching. So you're doing 2 jobs in one there. What are you laughing at? I shall be waiting You have we get into a queue. Well, we're all going to be very polite, Yvonne, aren't we? We love queuing, don't we, over here? We love it. We love a nice queue. Might even do it for you in a minute while we're live. Then I know it's done. You know it's done. Won't take me a minute. So top stitch to the corner. And then now on here, I'm not going to top stitch that, and I'll tell you why. Let me just finish that off. Because I've already got my stitching, for the pockets. So that edge I'm not going to top stitch because that would just double the stitching and it wouldn't look right. So I'm going to go in at the top of the pockets there. So I'm just continuing that line and top stitching around the top part. I love top stitching because as I'm stitching, I can feel that the back and the front are sandwiching that H640 in between, and it's making a right nice crisp edge. I love it. I love top stitching when it's doing two jobs, because it really finishes it off. Not just from a decorative point of view, it feels like you're sewing the seam down inside, it's flattening it out, it's it's just literally finishing it off properly. And I think it also gives it that professional look. If you bought this from John Lewis or something already finished, something like this is always top stitched. So I'm coming back down to the top stitch now on my pocket, back stitch back to secure. Okay, and then while I'm here, you can see that I've top stitched. I'm going to do this quilt a bit here because I love a bit of hang on, I'm going to move my needle position, so I still want to be on a, oh come on Mr. Machine, oh I need to take that off, take it back to a straight stitch, and I want this now just on 3.5, stitch length still 3, but I've moved my needle position to the centre now, to its natural position, so make sure it's all nice and flat and you've not got any lumps and bumps. And then I'm going to stitch all around this semicircle because you're just quilting it now, literally decorative quilting. It's almost like a stitch in the ditch, stitching on that exact line between the red and the cream. Love quilting. I've not done this for so long because I do a lot of the pincushion designs and things, and it's not as decorative as quilting. I actually really miss this. It's lovely. Go down to the bottom, just back stitch so it secures it. That's really nice. And then I'll show you. Hope you can pick it up on the camera, Dave, can you? How just quilting that line, your white thread is very nicely contrasted. I think so, Yvonne. I think it looks nice, the white thread look. And then that stitch line that I've done there just quilts it, and just, it can't, not only does it make this bit pop, it makes the corners pop, doesn't it? They look nice, they stand out more just because you've got that stitch line. And that's it. So what I will do, probably, like I said, is do a bit of hand stitching. Are you with me, Dave? Dave. Sorry, something's fell on the floor. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I'll do some hand stitching on that just to make it pop, and a few French knots and things, and put some buttons on it. It looks nice, doesn't it? I think that's lovely, really nice, because it's not too big. Sometimes these, the wall hangings can be a bit too big, but that would fit nicely onto a chimney breast or the door. Pockets are nice sizes. What can we get in there, Dave? I tell you what you could do. You could, for a sewing person, you could put some notions in, couldn't you? And wrap them up and have little sewing things in. That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? Have a glue pen and a pair of scissors, needles. I mean, I'd rather have one with chocolate in, to be honest. But yeah, I think that looks really nice. And a nice, easy make. Beautiful, Yvonne says. Thank you, Yvonne. Yeah, it looks really nice. And then your back, you could just stick with a plain back. But I like to have a nice back as well. Of course, you could always do it different ways. You could put a binding around the edge, different colour, all sorts. You're not stuck with the panel. You can do whatever you want. You could put a border around that, make it bigger. But once you've got the panel, it's sorted. Now, while Yvonne's there, I know other people are with me as well, but Yvonne's asked about it being a kit. So let me just do the website now. Let me see if have we got H640 on the website? Let's look. I know it wasn't on there, but it had been previously. You can't always get it from the suppliers. Oh, can you hear Hattie barking? Let me go on the website then. So it's not on there now. Products. She barking. She's very loud. She's very loud. H640. Let me see if we've had it. If it's still on there, it should be. Even though I just like put it in the background till we got it back. No, Debbie. Dave's got my phone. Can't look on my phone. Anyway, let me tell you what's coming up then. So let me put in here 1/2 metre H640. Yeah, that's what it was, I think. About £7. So if I go back in there and go to Advent, and what I'll also do, that's what I was trying to say, over the next 2 Tuesdays or 3 Tuesdays, I'm hoping to come back into doing lives every Tuesday, so it's a regular thing. The problem with that I have sometimes is, you know, I might be on Sewing Street on the Tuesday, or I might be getting ready for a show. So I'm always reluctant to commit in case I can't fulfill it, but I'm aiming to do every Tuesday at 2. And the next 2 Tuesdays, next week I'm going to do a Christmas stocking, and then the week after I'm going to do a different panel. So every week there'll be something else. Then I might bring you the what did I say, the EPP Christmas project, and then we'll pretty much be going to the show. But I'll obviously try and do a live from the show I normally do. So am I doing 2 kits with wadding and then a kit without wadding, or just a kit with wadding? Yeah. So you're seeing backstage now, aren't you? Me and Dave work things out. We are funny. Well, I don't know if we're funny or not. I think we are. Yeah, so I'll probably do a live from the show, no doubt. I usually do. So that will be £27.50, and that still works out cheap, obviously, because it's a kit. So save that. That should now be on there, and if I just put in the description, Makower white for the backing, and H640 wadding. And it says there as well on the description that the instructions are on the panel, so don't forget you will have the instructions. Obviously you can watch this back, but you have got the instructions on there if you need to refer to them. They can be purchased as an individual panel or as a kit, which includes white polka dot on red fabric for the backing and H640 for the wadding. Fabulous. So that should be there now, Yvonne. So once you click on that, let me just refresh it, that should then be up to date for you, and then it's done. So yeah, I don't think I've got anything to say, is there, Dave? Is there anything else to let people know about? Oh, putting Dave.
Sure you could talk for hours.
I could be, you know, I always think, oh, what am I going to say today? And then I end up talking for England. Yeah, that's on there, Yvonne, now. And then I'll throw you 5, I mean, not literally throw, but put you 5 free patterns in. And that goes for everybody, any order, even if you just order one of the wooden little bobbins that I've got for sale for 50p or 75p. If you just order anything at the moment, you're getting 5 free patterns, because I'd rather give them to you and you have use of them than they're just sitting in our storeroom. So that's why I'm doing that, just to give a freebie to my loyal customers. And if you sign up, don't forget, if you haven't already, on the home page, let me show you. If I go to the home page of the website, if you haven't already, go to home. Sorry. Go down, you'll see this week's star buying things. And then down the bottom here, you can contact me here. So if you want to just email me with a message, you can. Or this side, subscribe to our newsletter. So all you need to do is put your email address in there and your name, and then click subscribe, and then that means that every month you'll get a newsletter. I've just sent this one out for September, but if you subscribe today, you'll get the one in October, and there's always an offer on there because I reward you for being loyal, and I know, you know, people like Yvonne are lovely loyal customers, so there'll be offers on there, discount codes to get into shows if you want to do that, all sorts of things. Usually I put a customer's make, you know, people will send me a picture of what they've made. I might even put Yvonne's Rosy Rabbit on there next time so that you can have a look at each other's makes, any customer comments that I get, and then obviously what's happening with lives and the shows and stuff like that. So let me just double check that I've got no more comments. Oh, I've closed Facebook down in the process of doing that. Can you see any more comments, Dave? I bet you can't.
Yeah, Yvonne says bye.
Oh, bye, Yvonne. And bye to everybody else. It's been so lovely being back. I've really enjoyed this afternoon. Thank you for your company. And if you're watching later on tonight or tomorrow or whenever, hello. And yeah, I'll aim to see you next Tuesday for another live and a bit of chat. All right, so take care and thanks for watching. Bye.